I'm Leah.
And I'm Sophie.
And this is
Overthinking Underachieving.
Let's get into it. I have a problem where I get on a roll and all of a sudden I've lost that. And it's like, oh, yikes. Like I fall into a hole of not doing this goal that I have, or like this routine, like good thing that's positive for me in my life. What is it that I'm searching for?
I actually like how we do that. Episode 3 was about how to get started, how to go from 0 to taking those first steps. And then this episode is about how to just keep going with it and how to keep up that stamina.
You're like, oh, I'm like all of a sudden I'm not super excited by this one idea that I have, but continuing through with it. Sophie, can I ask you what kind of like routine things you do that you feel are helpful?
Yeah. Take my medication. That is the biggest one.
That's a very good point.
I don't know, because really, like, starting my meds completely changed my life. I was never able to do any of this shit that I'm talking about until I started my meds, and then I was able to form those positive habits and just progress.
What kind of habits did you form once? Because, I mean, yes, medicine's helpful. And it actually sucks for some people because medicine is a hard thing. I mean, I've been struggling with, ever since I switched insurances, I've been fighting with doctors for like a long time. So if we move past the medicine aspect though, what kind of things were you doing, like actual physical things that started to get the ball rolling?
Yeah. So the biggest things I think would be the low dopamine mornings. The main thing that creates dopamine in our brains is accomplishing tasks. That's why like our smartphones and apps in general, they are very like task oriented. Like here's notification, tap that, and then this goes away, and then you like it keeps your brain involved by giving you a series of micro tasks. And so it's like dopamine, all from these tiny little accomplishments. In the morning, stay off your phone and let your first hits of dopamine for the day be those small tasks. Like give yourself a couple small things to take care of in the morning, and then your brain will then seek out dopamine from those same sources. So if you are productive early in the morning without getting dopamine from, something else that's very like saturated like this, your brain will keep going back to this, oh, like it felt good to finish that. It felt good to make the bed. It felt good to start the dishes. It felt good to make my little coffee. Like all of those things, then you'll be going back to real world, actually productive, not overstimulating, very like calming, but more positive sources of the dopamine, and it'll keep you going.
I'm thinking back to times, there have been days or weeks where I'm especially interested in whatever project it is that I'm working on, and during those times I have so many notifications, and then I go back to my phone and I'm just like, I'm not as interested in scrolling on Instagram or like going to all these different messaging with people back, whatever. It's like, no, I've been using my phone for Spotify all day because I'm using my actual hands to work on something that's actually interesting.
Utilizing my phone calendar and being meticulous with updating it, and using alarms. Alarms are really helpful as well.
I mean, it's so hard.
The phone alarms, as simple as it sounds, it is so helpful. Object permanence is something that ADHD people struggle with, and you'll just forget. You'll forget people. You'll forget goals. You'll forget
it's so sad.
Things that you're supposed to take care of, responsibilities, and so just your phone being like, this thing exists. That's powerful.
Yeah. No, I definitely, so my watch that I'm not wearing, it usually beeps every hour, which sounds dramatic, but there have been times where I'm sitting in the same place and it beeped twice. And that's at that point, I know that I've
Yeah.
I've hit my limit. It's time.
Oh, time blindness.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. That is an actual real thing. And so you having a little like beep once an hour,
Yeah.
it grounds you, it wakes you up, it says it's been an hour, because some people's brains, they can't like track time in that same way. So they're always late, they always spend too much time doing something, not enough time. So that's a really great tool for that. Really being intentional about my digestion.
Oh, okay.
Because they call your stomach your second brain.
Yeah.
And what you got going on in here is drastically going to affect what's happening in your brain. And the clarity, the physical energy, all of that makes a big difference, honestly.
No, for sure. Physical health is a big part of mental health. I mean, obviously. Yeah. Some of my routines, when I actually am able to stick to them, it 100% affects my mental health, which affects the things that I want to do with my time. For example, if I'm feeling positive about life, I don't want to curl up under my covers. There are some people that say their art is best when they're not feeling so great, but they use that as an outlet and try to that has worked for me in the past. There's something about like texting back like your toxic ex is like the sexiest, most thrilling thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? But I'm saying something about that feeling I have felt before when I'm working on some type of project, and it does feel awesome.
Let me say this. Okay. That is true.
Yeah.
That is true, and a lot of people experience that. This is a really cool lesson that I've shared before that I learned with my relationship with creativity.
Yes.
Through the process of going from wildly mentally ill to completely and utterly at peace and happy and content with my life. I'm not necessarily there at this moment, but I learned a lot about my creativity during that transition. And one thing that I learned is that as your state of mind changes, your creative outlets might change as well. So I bring that up because you're talking about how, like, you know, you're suffering and you're making this art and you just feel like the inspiration just pours out of you, and it's like a more creative time. And when I was really depressed, that was happening to me a lot. Like, I wrote all the time. I would write poetry. I would just write in general. I would draw a lot. I just had a lot of art happening. And then I realized that when my mental health improved, my creative outlets changed. So feeling like shit, or like being in that state of agony and creating all that great art, that's great. But also when you're feeling better, you can still make great art. It just might be a completely different medium.
Right.
So keep exploring. And don't shame yourself for not being able to write a poem. You didn't lose your artistry. You're not a horrible writer now. You know, don't shame yourself in those ways. Just find what other ways that are more organically creative for you now.
I liked that.
Something that is going to greatly impact your ability to have consistency and keep moving forward is confidence. Through being creative, making things, showing yourself. Really, it's just all different ways that you can show yourself that you are capable and you are strong.
And that you are checking off those bullets on your to-do list.
Yeah, which is just capable.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm doing shit. I can do shit. I can actually accomplish this.
Like for me, this podcast.
And I feel like that would lessen imposter syndrome as well.
Oh my God, 100%. A small step that I took to message you, and then to start meeting, and then to actually start filming, and then to actually start posting and do the promo pictures and like whatever. It's like that I'm so much more confident as a creative person right now. I know that may seem small to other people, but to me it's actually pretty cool.
No, it's awesome. Yeah.
And so I would like to say thank you, actually. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. No,
and thank you. And thank you.
And thank you. But it's true. That creative process of being scared, doing something you're not sure about, being kind of embarrassed, judging your podcast versus other podcasts, whatever. Like, be scared to show other people. You know, the feeling of like being on camera in general was a tough thing to get through. Like, outfits, makeup. My blush is insane right now. That's okay.
I love it. I really love it. And now it'll be so much easier to start your next project.
Right.
Because you've done so much through this process that you've shown yourself that you are capable, you've built your confidence, and now you're way more willing and able to start the next thing. Or just keep going with it.
Well, and you taught me also, mainly, honestly, one of the most important things that Sophie taught me is having deadlines. And like, that's your deadline. Like, sorry, like,
there is no extension.
There is no extension.
Yeah.
That is like your thing that you taught me. And it's like, and it's just such a cool, that is such an important lesson as someone who is not like that at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like not like that at all. Respecting your own time to know that there's something you really want to do and it's really cool. So respect that it deserves time. Like, someone might say 6 months to do these 4 episodes.
Yeah. 6 months, bitch.
And that does take into consideration. We did have like a bunch of things that were keeping us from filming at first.
A lot of life stuff happened too.
Yeah. And just like scheduling wise. But I mean, if you're your own self and you have this one painting that you're working on, this is just an example because not everyone paints. For how long are you going to let that painting that you were working on, you finished half of it and there's another half you want to work on, you're just going to let that sit in your closet? No, you give yourself a deadline. You're like, I want to work. This Saturday, I'm not going out with my friends. I really want to paint. And you might not even like the painting at the end, but guess what? You finished a painting and now you get to start another one.
Yeah, and that's why I also like with the timelines or like with the deadline, be realistic with your deadlines.
Well, that's true too.
Because if you give yourself an unrealistic deadline, then you're not gonna be able to accomplish what you want in that time, and then that's going to make you feel some type of way, and it's gonna just be a roadblock for you. So like for me, that's a skill that I've learned, is being able to be realistic with how much time something is going to take.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's actually a skill of mine, is like having an accurate, attainable timeline or like deadline.
Right. I think that's something that you will figure out about yourself as you practice it.
Yeah.
Because for me, I think that I make my timelines way too short.
Yeah.
And then it just doesn't happen. And I think another thing is another problem is I don't make a timeline.
How you can create a realistic timeline and deadline for yourself is by tracking how much time it takes you to do certain tasks. So when I was creating my one of my newer services, which is for my personal styling business, which is the Style app, I was learning a lot of different things and doing a lot of different things. So I did a test run for my friend for free, of course. And while I was doing it the first time, I timed myself. Like, how long does it take? How long am I at the client's house? How long does this part take? How long does this part take? And then I just added up all of that time, and now I know this is an accurate timeline. Now I can give accurate, attainable deadlines for myself and for clients. Like, I need to be able to tell a client when they can expect, a return of whatever service they book.
The thing, it's not in my head. I'm like, that's such a hard, weird step that I don't want to do, and it just feels.
You
weird.
just look at the clock.
But it's like,
and then you just look at the clock again when you're done.
Yeah.
Like, it's really not that much work.
I think. Well, what about for the types of people who they have their job, they are happy with their job, they have these creative outlets that are a little bit more like side things for them. They're not looking to be creative as their job.
Yeah.
Like, what do they do? Like, should they do something like maybe give themselves 20 minutes a day to work on something like as a goal? Maybe your goal is, I just want to work on this small little thing for 20 minutes to keep my creative brain going.
20 minutes, sitting down, I'm gonna write for 20 minutes. That's like the core of that book, The Artist's Way, I think. And
3 pages a day.
That book gets so much praise.
It's great.
And how it really is very effective. Even if you have even if you're not inspired, even if you're not feeling creative, just set this time in a routine to I'm setting this time aside for creativity. Not even necessarily productivity.
Right.
Just creativity. Maybe one of the days you just want to sit and meditate and like think creatively.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't always have to be this demanding, like you need to see the productivity.
I have a funny quote though. I have a quote from a book called Steal Like an Artist.
Steal
Like an Artist. The worst thing a day job does is take time away from you, but it makes up for that by giving you a daily routine in which you can schedule a regular time for your creative pursuits. Establishing and keeping a routine can be even more important than having a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Very true.
Very
okay.
true.
Inertia is the death of creativity. You have to stay in the groove. When you get out of the groove, you start to dread the work because you know it's going to suck for a while. It's going to suck until you get back into the flow. The solution is really simple. Figure out what time you can carve out, what time you can steal, and stick to your routine. Do that work every day, no matter what. I mean, how that relates to me, and use your routine to your advantage.
Yeah.
If you don't have a routine and you do suffer from ADHD the way that we both do, try to come up with something that's going to work for you. This is technically the last episode that we have scheduled for Overthinking Underachieving.
Well, Leah.
Yeah, Sophie.
We've come to the end.
We don't know that yet.
We've come to the potential end.
Yeah. How does it feel?
It feels sad.
You feel sad?
I'm like just thinking about it right now. Like,
I feel really okay. Fine. I guess I do feel sad. I understand sad. No, but more than
I
that.
guess I do feel sad.
No. More than that, I'm feeling like a sense of pride in work that I have actually finished. How crazy is that? I mean, still gotta do a little bit of editing, but
there's still work to be done for sure. It's the whole process. The whole project isn't over.
That's
but
crazy.
Sitting here in our little outfits with the water cooler and
go us.
Yay! Yeah, I feel like this whole podcast was kind of like, I want to describe it as like a love letter to yourself.
Yeah.
Like this whole podcast is really all about you and for you.
Wait, me?
Yeah.
Me only, not you?
No, but like in what it is.
I see that. I mean, that was kind of like I came to her being like, make a podcast with me where you actually like tell me everything you know. and like
help me. No, like, you know, you wanted to do something creative. You wanted to move forward. You wanted to commit to something. You wanted to deal with all of these mental barriers that you were struggling with that were keeping you in this creative paralysis. And you started the process. You took the first step. You kept going. You conflict resolved. You were continuously creative. We stuck to deadlines. Like you did it. And it's what we've made together and what you've made is so beautiful.
Thank you for saying that. No, you're right. It is really, really, really cute. That's a really cute thing to say. Well, we did it. Let's just say that. But I do see the value to me is like very big.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was an episode where you said something like, wow, this is a really intense episode for you. And I was like, yeah, because this is my life. Like, this is what I've been dealing with. Like, it's hard. And I'm very much in the midst of it. I mean, as much as we're all we're all dealing with whatever, like, this feels such a big leap.
Mm-hmm.
So pop off me.
I almost imagine, like, this little, like, set or, like, this video clip, this image, like, happening in your mind. while you're like working through your internal struggles. Like, this doesn't exist. None of this exists. This scenario, and I am a figment of your imagination.
Oh, here we go.
Living in your mind,
out.
just working toward whatever, like getting past your creative struggles.
No, I know what you mean.
And this is just like
It was a big
something happening in your brain.
It's weird.
What if that was true? I'm
Shut
scared.
up.
I'm scared.
Oh my God,
I
don't-
freaked myself out.
No, please. I'm Leah.
And I'm Sophie.
And
This has been Overthinking Underachieving.